everything's going to absolute pot in England. We've got riots, we've got political discord. Elon Musk is worrying that there might be civil war. America is also a country where things are going on right now. There is still an election going on. Over here, we're a bit preoccupied right now. But I thought it'd be good to take a little catch-up of what's going on and see how things are going over there. And I looked at the latest polls and was very, very shocked to find that apparently all of the national polls are suggesting that Harris, at least in the popular vote, is going to be slightly ahead of Donald Trump. Now, for someone who only just threw her hat into the race and was previously just a VP and one of the worst VPs ever because she was under one of the worst presidents ever, was supposedly a border czar whose one policy was border. What's that?
And now also 10 million illegals have come in?
Yeah, and also has one of the most ear-piercingly screechy laughs I've ever heard in my entire life and has no campaign to speak of. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
A few reasons here. One, I would probably take the Real Clear Politics polling average over this one because they're generally more accurate.
Well, some of the other ones that I've looked at as well, The Economist and the New York Times, a number of other platforms that were putting up the polls seem to all have them either neck and neck, or Harris slightly over.
Because lots of them have been oversampling Democrats. CNN's recent poll that said loads of Trump voters are now switching to Harris was oversampling Democrats. Exactly, it's ludicrous.
They heard that J.D. Vance is weird, and they said, oh no, I don't want to vote for a weirdo. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris.
They saw one TikTok dance and were persuaded.
They listened to Nick Fuentes and went, OMG, she totally brat.
Yeah. Okay. Noted homosexual, Nick Fuentes. Sorry, but lots of them aren't adequately sampling the independents in the swing states, which is the ones that she needs to win and Trump is currently leading in.
What is interesting is that less than a month ago, there was an assassination attempt at Donald Trump, and almost no one is talking about it.
Yes. Well, that's another thing as well, is that Trump's polls jumped up. They skyrocketed the moment that whole incident occurred, and then all of a sudden flattened back down when Kamala Harris decided to throw her hat in for completely organic and natural reasons. Or perhaps this might be a 2016 or Brexit situation where the polls are trying to shape reality rather than the other way around. Yes, but I thought, again, let's take a look. Why might it be? Well, Harris has been having to think about who her VP is going to be. There's been a lot of discussion about who it was. It was so far it was going between Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania and Governor Tim Waltz of Minnesota. Obama had been behind the scenes advising on who they should pick. Apparently he was good friends with Shapiro. There was speculation that Nancy Pelosi was also friends with Waltz, so there might have been some Democratic insider background pushing and pulling going on here and there. And then, of course, with Democratic politics in America, you've got to consider one major thing. What is the major thing, given that you have a party voter base which is mainly made up of foreigners and insane leftists?
The Josh Shapiro's Jewish.
Yes. Israel-Palestine has to be a huge thing in the considerations of this, or at least a potentially huge thing, or at least they've got to make it sound like they care, because at the end of the day, Democrats, being the party of non-white people, let's be honest, that's what they are. That's what most of those communities consider it to be. That's why the black vote in America so consistently goes to the Democrats. They can kind of rely on most of these people to stick around no matter what, is what I would say. So they're going to have the DNC from August 19th to 22nd, and it's going to be held in Chicago, which has the largest Palestinian American community in the entire country. And people are, unsurprisingly, organizing protests. There is the Coalition to March on the DNC, composed of more than 150 groups. They want racial justice, LGBTQ rights, as all Palestinians supposedly do, and migrant justice as well, and dignified justice. They basically want everything, the whole smorgasbord of progressive bollocks.
They want what Tucker Carlson is now calling as well, from Conley Drakpa, gay race communism. They are pushing for gay race communism. That is woke, and they are just openly saying it.
This will help people, apparently, somehow. And it says, given the US is backing Israel, the Coalition to March on the DNC decided to make Gaza and Palestine the focus of the two major marches. There are parts of the Chicago local political structure that are saying, yeah, you can have your protest, but the DNC's here and you can have your protest over here somewhere. So they're not getting exactly what they want.
They'll be having scraps with the
But
police.
of course, they point out in this article from The Nation, it doesn't mean all of the organizations pushing material demands beyond the coalition to march on the DNC have the same approach to electoral strategy, though, meaning, yeah, they're going to vote for Democrat no matter what, because they're not going to vote for Trump. A lot of these communities just will not vote for Trump.
Quickly on the Israel issue, I did find it very interesting when Netanyahu went over and addressed Congress. He had his meeting with Kamala Harris, and his camp were just leaking to the press. It was really unproductive, and he can't stand her. And then he flew immediately to go and meet Trump in Mar-a-Lago, like he's addressing the king in exile. So the Israeli faction, and that means the foreign policy faction,
Means AIPAC.
they're lining up behind Trump. So if they would have chosen Josh Shapiro, they might have made inroads there, but they clearly can't because their base are a bunch of rabid pro-Palestine people.
Yes, and that seemed to have possibly had a bit of a deciding factor in the choice of who it was going to be, because Josh Shapiro had managed to get himself named Genocide Josh somehow.
Because of Israel.
Right. Because of Israel, because he'd condemned campus anti-Semitism, and because he is Jewish, the Democrat base had started to call him Genocide Josh.
Of course, he doesn't want to be attacked on the university campus.
I mean, that makes sense.
Shock.
Either way, Waltz is the guy they picked. And in this forward article, they give a little bit of description of him and his relation to the Israel-Palestine issue, and he seems to be, on that issue, a bit of a fence-sitting choice where obviously he's towing the Democratic line and saying we will support them, but also maybe let's tone down a little bit of the rhetoric because our base are a bunch of insane people. Also, by the way, I'm Tim Waltz. I'm insane as well, by the way, as we'll get into in a moment. So he has a popularity because of his Midwestern battleground state, because he's Minnesota governor, and has many friends in Congress. He was named freshman class president after being elected in 2006. He served there until 2019 when he was sworn in as Minnesota's governor, re-elected in 2022, and has steered Minnesota toward, guess what? Liberal policies, including guaranteeing abortion rights, requiring paid family leave, and incentivizing affordable housing. Communist.
I remember something happening in Minnesota around 2020. Something fiery, but mostly peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
That Kamala Harris...
He didn't do much.
No.
He didn't do much.
I think Connor should continue because I have something to add.
Well,
Carry
I
on.
remember money being taken away from police officers in Minnesota, and money via Kamala Harris in the form of donations being given to criminal perpetrators like Jacob Blake, who she visited in hospital after he tried to stab police officers after violating a restraining order for digitally raping a woman. Why did they not mention his record on the BLM riots there? That's curious.
Well, because they're also, like, the Forward is a leftist publication, so of course they're also vastly in favor of gay race communism, as Tim Waltz is.
Which is strange considering it's a Jewish outlet. You would have thought that some of the liberal Jews would have understood by now.
They are a progressive Jewish outlet.
Yeah, you would have thought some of them would have understood by now that mass importing anti-Semitic people from abroad might put their lives at risk.
The Forward are one of the ones that cheer all of that on.
Which is demented. I mean,
the Forward have an incredible article saying that the way to get past white supremacy is to forge a Jewish-Muslim alliance, and that's not going to go well, guys. I'm just going to say.
Interestingly enough, I have a lot to offer here. That's what's interesting. So his wife said something really interesting about the BLM riots.
Oh,
she
go on.
said, I could smell the burning tires, so I left the windows open.
what?
Yeah.
So she was almost getting some kind of
on
thrilling
Nightcast.
glee.
Are you
Yes.
sure that's not Winnie Mandela's quote?
It's from N Wokeness. We can post it afterwards if you want.
Stelios, if you want to send that to the studio,
I will send. Yes, let me send
so we
it
can
to
get
Samson
that one up because it'll go with some of the other clips.
This is really funny in a way because it shows a lot of the ideological.
I'm sure Greta Thunberg is very upset at that.
Yeah, if Samson, could we
Think of the emissions
open this,
of BLM
please?
riots.
Oh yeah, but Waltz is also notable for one other thing, which is that he's the one.
I sent you a link. Could we please open it?
Yeah, he's the one that branded that Trump and JD Vance were weird.
Oh, please don't use this word. If you tell me I'm weird, I'm gonna melt.
You're weird, Stelios.
This is the party
Unacceptable.
who believe that men can give birth, right?
Well, presumably, yes. I mean, I've seen a photograph of his personal advisor, who is, shall we say, somewhat butch in that dress.
Right. Quick thing, Samson, the mic's still on, by the way.
Yeah, we can hear ourselves echoing.
I do
Yes.
love listening to my own voice, but, you know.
We know. Yeah, let's take
Yeah.
a look at this clip here that Stelios has linked for us. Do you mind if I press play on here? Click, click.
I would say those first days, when there were riots, I could smell the burning tires. And that was a very real thing. And I kept the windows open for as long as I could because I felt like that was such a touchstone of what was happening.
This
Wow,
honestly,
I bet you could smell that.
excuse
Bloody
me,
hell.
This reminds me of two things. First of all, it's like a sort of goddess to which people are burning their offerings, and she opens the window. Yeah, let me receive
She
them.
breathes it all.
She's just huffing the fumes like Charlie, and It's
And
Always
also-
Sunny.
Yeah, and also, it reminds me of Ed Harris's character in Westworld, where he was saying, "I want something true,
I just think she
Something
looks like a
real.
Hillary Clinton action figure.
fire."
Yeah, she looks like the bargain bin Hillary Clinton. You're right. But yeah, Waltz called them weird, which is apparently an insult if you're 12 and a girl. But apparently this was the Democratic mandate. This was the new strategy. They went, we've caught something good there, boys. Let's go in for the kill. We've got blood in the water. Time to strike the finishing blow.
And here's our nuclear czar, who is a bald man who steals women's luggage.
Maybe this is what caused these new polls. Maybe people went, I don't know, he's kind of weird. He's kind of weird. Maybe there's a point to that. But yeah, but I wonder if literally because of the fact that he chose, he came up with that whole weird thing, which they then took and ran with, if that's one of the big reasons that they chose him. If so, congratulations, DNC. You are insane.
Played yourselves.
You are idiots.
That's exactly what wokeness is about. People who can't argue.
Yeah, retarded people. Yes, but I think it's also obviously to do with the fact that, according to another article here, Democrats are hoping that Waltz's down-to-earth background and his rural nature will win over voters in swing states in the Midwestern region, particularly Wisconsin and Michigan. And I think it's also an attempt to counteract the fact that J.D. Vance is working-class Appalachian who pulled himself up. So they want to also have their kind of folksy guy. Are you all right, Stelios, or has your power levels exceeded the video wall behind you?
I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the fires from the BLM riots.
Stelios is manifesting his mutant powers today. He's just shutting off cameras remotely, and
You've overloaded it.
It's the offerings from the BLM riots that are interfering with the screen behind me.
Very impressive.
Yes.
Also, people are going on about the fact that about 30 years ago he got caught in a DUI driving 96 down a 55 zone. So this is the guy who will have, if he gets elected in alongside Harris on the ticket, quite a lot of power.
no wonder he wants to defund the police.
Quite a lot of lot of responsibility.
He was just in a haste. It was just hasty.
He
And
was
to be
just,
honest, he could run on a libertarian ticket with that kind of record.
oh yeah, I also wasn't wearing my seatbelt. The state can't keep me down. And of course he's a socialist, self-admitted, as you would expect. There's this clip from a recent interview.
Is this the
But we
white
can
dudes for
get out
Harris?
there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
That's why socialists are hellbent on destroying every neighborhood in the West.
Yeah, that's why every single Marxist text calls for the entire genocide of the bourgeois
Right.
class.
Chaz Chop exercises in neighborliness, okay? Especially the murders and the rapes.
There could be neighbors here. I hate neighbors.
And what's the campaign against Trump doing? Well, it's continuing to stumble on, pratfalling every so often,
Did
as
you
it is
see-
expected to do.
Did you see Ben Stiller say he's going to donate, what was it, 150 million to
Yeah,
Kamala
and-
Harris and say, I am ashamed of being a white man?
No, he
He
said,
said, I wish I was
he did-
black.
They
yeah.
said every Jewish white guy wants to be black, which was, I don't think that's true, Ben. That's a really weird thing to say.
Eric Kaufman, black man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, clearly. I mean, I remember when he came in and he tried to fist bump me. It took me off guard. That's not what happened, Stelios. Don't.
I was disappointed to see Sean Astin join this thing as well. It's like Samwise Gamgee.
Did you see Nick Offerman singing a song on his acoustic guitar?
He played a gay guy once in The Last of Us,
And well, he's not
kept method
stopped.
acting.
Yeah, he's not stopped. Yeah, and of course, the punchline of the song was that Donald Trump is weird.
Aha!
Wow, this is one day it'll work. It won't be this election cycle, but maybe one day.
Maybe you need a PhD to create a response to this argument.
Clearly, I'm not. I'm just not credentialed enough. That's the sad truth of it. Of course, the arguments are still going on, saying Trump shows his age when he talks about race. This is in relation to the recent interview that he was doing, where he pointed out, rightfully so, that I thought Harris was Indian.
Sorry,
When did she become black?
shows his age. They were saying that Biden was cognitively sharp for a good 4 odd years.
Mm-hmm.
When back in 2020, he also said, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black."
I love this.
Skating over that.
They're saying if there's a depth to which the US presidential candidate Trump can't sink to when attacking his opponents, we're yet to see it. Then they mentioned that he was born in 1946, 2 decades before the nationwide lifting of anti-miscegenation laws. And I'm sorry, they're trying to make it sound as though he's an old school KKK member. And that's the only reason anybody would ever go, hold up, her story's changed.
I like the idea that 2-year-old Trump was out in the streets marching against black and white intermarriage by that kind of implication. What? Why would you?
Maybe
why would
those
you even put
photos
that
of
in?
Little Rock, the guns being pointed, that was at Trump. They were being pointed at
So
Trump.
Stupid.
It is very, very stupid. But of course, what he was pointing out in those clips was very reasonable, which is that Kamala Harris is trying to appeal to racial identity politics, woke identity politics, and to do that, she's essentially switching identities very fluidly as she goes, and that she's saying that she's Indian for this campaign, she's black for this campaign, Indian depending on which demographic she's speaking to, black depending on, which is dishonest. You can't trust her because she is always going to be a liar.
She's a woke chameleon.
Yeah, woke chameleon. You shouldn't be trusting this woman. And they say, don't ask about the contradictions. You're not allowed to ask. That's their response.
Just consume candidate and get excited for next candidate.
She does say some stuff that are obviously contradictory. She says, for instance, I want equity, not equality. And then she goes on and says, with equity, we are just giving resources to those who need it, so we end up with equality of outcome.
So she's a communist.
Yes.
Just,
like her running mate.
Yes.
There you go. And they're really annoyed at JD Vance.
Oh, look, I already would have voted for him if I could. You don't
know.
Need to sell him on me.
JD Vance's pure existence as a normal white guy from Appalachia means that he is public enemy number 1 for woke progressives. And they're really furious that he liked Jack Posobiec's new book called Unhumans, and it goes on. It says in this article, it's amazing, an anti-democratic screed that Posobiec co-wrote with with professional ghostwriter Joshua Lysak comes with endorsements from some of the most influential people in Republican politics, including J.D. Vance. The book argues that leftists don't deserve the status of human beings, no comment, that they are, as the title says, unhumans, and that they are waging a shadow war against all that is good and decent, no lies detected.
Hang on, do you remember the Time magazine piece that literally said the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election?
Yes, do you remember all of those articles saying that white people shouldn't breed? Having white children is white supremacy.
That's expression of suppression.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that they're that's two-tier approach, essentially. They don't allow they allow some of these voices to say it. Because if you are a designated victim, you're allowed to say almost anything.
This is true. But JD Vance pointing out that this is basically evil. It really gets on their nerves. And Trump said Vance, it says in here, should fire every single mid-level bureaucrat, every civil servant in the administrative state, replace them with our people. And if the courts try to stand in his way, Trump should stand before the country like Andrew Jackson did and say the Chief Justice has made his ruling, now let him enforce it.
So base.
I know, it's excellent. But I think one of the things the most got on their nerves, the thing that really has got under their skin, is the childless cat lady comment.
Oh, yes.
Because he called them all childless cat ladies.
He just held up a mirror to them.
The country is run by childless cat ladies. And this led to articles like this. I am a cat lady and I vote.
I know, that's the problem.
See, like they try and say you're weird you're weird, but then they proudly display that they are genetic dead ends who are more concerned with their pets than the rest of humanity and expect us to believe that their opinion means anything. And the very fact that you've got articles like this being written shows that it's really got under their skin. And I saw something even stranger, even more unusual, which was this... I mean, look, these are the people calling you weird. These freaks.
I've changed my mind. Anne Hathaway wasn't the worst Catwoman.
These freaks.
I
Thought the same thing. There we go.
For some reason, Connor doesn't like the idea of Anne Hathaway in skin-tight leather.
She's
Anne
mid.
Hathaway. No, she's not mid. She was,
Chronically
but at
mid.
least you are seeing the light. Okay, you come closer to the truth.
In comparison to this, I don't
Yeah,
think he's
Connor, I
saying
mean-
much.
The debate Connor has in his mind.
When they release Batman 2, this is who they're casting. I hope you know. You didn't like Zoe Kravitz, this is what you're getting instead. Let's hear what this woman has to say.
Oh, do we have
Tell
to?
me about this getup.
Well, I'm a childless cat lady that J.D. Vance wants to pick on and say that our lives don't matter and that we're miserable. And that's not true. I'm very happy. Remember her thing is I didn't fall out of a coconut tree?
As we were saying goodbye, she accidentally scratched me.
I love that little addendum there.
Yeah, you're so happy that you felt the need to get dressed in a get-up and go out and protest about the fact that you're absolutely delighted and not at all insulted.
I'm not bothered, I'm not bothered, I'm not bothered. I'm not
Says as she
owned, I'm
turns
not
into a
owned.
corn cob.
Yeah. So these are the people that you're up against, America. Actual freaks calling themselves childless cat ladies and dressing up like it. Meanwhile, they have insane communists on their side because they are insane communists. So vote accordingly, I suppose.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're getting up to, you can follow our series Lads Hour on the website, where we normally have a lot of fun, but sometimes we talk about serious topics as well. And if you want to see all the other work we're putting out, you can follow us on Twitter, and you won't miss a thing. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.